Hello everyone, welcome to Coffee Cup Enlightenment. Today I'm going to talk about the way of ways. And usually when there's a desire to go a certain way, whether it be some sort of action in life or some sort of non-action that you do in life, there's an assumption that what you do and don't do, whatever it may be in all contexts, it will become a way to creating a change within yourself, perhaps to create a transition, to be more a feeling of freeness, and today I want to talk about the many assumptions that and the very typical assumptions that is common when it comes to ways and what they can and can't do. As an example, some ways that are very ancient practices and that are still going on today, that are said to cause a transition within yourself, that are related to some form of transition of enlightenment. Some typical and old and ancient ways is perhaps the renunciation of material goods, whereas some people, which is still practiced today in some countries, where they pretty much just keep their material possessions down to having a cloth to wrap around themselves as their clothes, and having absolutely no other possessions, no money, and just relying on donations for food and pretty much donations when it comes to shelter for living.
217 meters ahead.
Some other ways might be fasting using food. Other ways that maybe using food as a limiting your food intake or deprivation of certain foods or the majority of foods, and for that to obtain enlightenment. Other ways might be the limitation or complete withdrawal of sex or relationships with the opposite sex, which is very common, and it's still going on today within many institutions, and this is considered as a way to enlightenment. All these ways have one thing in common: they're orientated towards distractions from the material world in order to get you to focus within. Whether the people or organisations that implement these ways are fully aware of the benefits or non-benefits of particular ways, or particular disadvantages of particular ways, I'm not sure. But that's what I wanted to talk about today. And perhaps an example, maybe just in many other people's day-to-day lives, we continually get bounced like a pinball machine in what we do and don't do, trying to figure things out. And this is a natural process that everyone goes through. It might be in regards to maybe the level of work that you do, how many hours you do per week. You may feel there's a certain distress signal that you're generating, that's been generated within you, and it seems associated to perhaps doing 40 hours a week. So then you may come up with a plan, or really the mind comes up with a plan. I need to do 20 hours a week, and this way will bring about more peace in my life. All ways have one thing in common. There's a goal at hand to bring you more peace. But the one that's usually setting these goals, it's usually the mind. And the mind is doing this in an attempt to get you away from unpeace, to remove the unpeace. So the mind comes up with a solution to bring about peace in your life. But unless you have discovered the root essence of where unpeace is coming from, which is very simple, it comes from identification with mind, without exception, every single time, and never comes from anything else, then if you keep following the mind and its ways, it'll bounce you around like a pinball machine, and eventually it will lead you to discover that every single way you go to, it never really brings you peace. The mind, when it makes up a suggestion to come out of unpeace, there's one core error to this. It is the mind that you're identifying which is the source and the birth of unpeace in the first place. So when you follow the mind, even if it has an intention to bring you to peace, the very act of following the mind is what will bring you unpeace. Even if the mind has a goal to bring you to peace, it will always lead to unpeace in some sort of way, or will lead you to the undiscovery of yourself as the witness to the mind. Whenever there's an idea coming that I must find peace and this is the way I must do it, it's 99% of the time it's always it's pretty much always a mind desire, and this desire comes because you haven't seen the root cause of where unpeace comes from, or nudges come from. If you only knew one thing in life, and that is where nudges come from, and where they come from is very simple. They come from identification from mind, which is the forgetfulness of yourself as the witness to the mind, not recognizing and feeling yourself as the witness to the mind, and then following the mind and all its desires. And the desire to want peace, which is what the mind creates, this can be labeled as a very subtle desire. It seems like it's coming from you. For what but a noble purpose there is to have a desire for peace, and how easy it is to mistake this desire, that to want peace must be coming from who I am. But when you see the mind for what it is and you no longer identify with it, you'll discover that you already are peace. The essence of who you are is peace. When you identify with the mind and confuse the mind for who you are, unpeace is birthed. So when you still don't recognize yourself as this witness to the mind, then the mind, one of the aspects of your evolution in awareness is for the mind to produce subtle suggestions for ways to peace. And it can come in work to change your hours around because I'm feeling unpeace. It can come with your relationships, especially. It must be this particular type of person, and this is what's causing me unpeace. And there's nothing wrong with, to some degree, making some actions in your life to remove yourself from certain situations from certain people, maybe changing hours to maybe make things more suitable. But there needs to be some discernment to recognizing if there is a constant never-ending struggle happening in your life, and if you can notice that there's always seems to be the mind projecting ways to fix these struggles, then you need to examine and investigate and bring your awareness and attention to these subtle mind ways that are guided or have ideals directed towards peace. As long as you keep following these ways, you miss the witness that you are. The way to get out of this continual never-ending struggle from the mind suggestions to bringing ways into your life is just simply to notice them, to observe the mind suggestions and simply see that they're just coming from the mind, and just notice that eventually it comes into your awareness that every single way has nothing to do with the peace that you already are. And this is one of the pretty much the most biggest treadmills that everyone goes through in their life. It's pretty much the destiny for everyone to go through this treadmill. It's very common and very prevalent, and these words that I'm talking about here are encouraging you to bring awareness to the mind's suggestions to peace. You already are peace. So as long as you follow any suggestion that the mind makes towards peace, you become blinded to the recognition of who you are, which is the witness of the mind, and not being able to detect the difference between you and mind. So yeah, just if you can relate to what I'm talking about, this never-ending ping-pong game that's going on within yourself, which continually changes your relationships, continually changes the type of jobs you engage in, the amount of hours, it changes your diet, it changes the way you conduct your sex life. You might say, I need to stop having sex, or I need to have these types of relationships, I need to have monogamous relationships, I need to have poly relationships, or whatever. All these different ways. Eventually you need to see that all ways can bring you to the truth of who you are, and all ways can bring you into further identification with mind and further struggle. It has nothing to do with ways. It has to do with who can you recognize yourself as the witness amidst the way. And ways then become neutral. The neutrality of ways become recognized. What you do or don't do becomes secondary and of non-importance when it comes to the road to peace. Feeling yourself as the witness becomes primary in the road to discovering the peace that you already are. The more you feel yourself as the witness to the mind, the more your witnesshood emerges, and so too follows the peace which is who you are, which accompanies the witnesshood that you are. The witnesshood and peace are synonymous.